With last week's shocking arrest and charge of a teacher who was impersonating a police officer, questions have been raised, like how should members of the public differentiate between a real and bogus cop, and what should you do if you think you've encountered an impersonator? Well, TVJ's Giovanni Dennis has been gauging expert opinions in this Primetime News follow-up.
I'd rather face a fail-to-stop ticket, perhaps, than risk a bogus police officer.
Former Deputy Commissioner of Police Mark Shields on what he would do if stopped by people he thinks are police impersonators. The issue of bogus police is back in the dock after a teacher was arrested and charged for posing as a sergeant at the Elliston Road station last week. But this is the fourth widely known incident of its kind in recent years. So, is the JCF particularly vulnerable to these kinds of fraud? Stephanie Lindsay is head of the Constabulary Communication Unit.
I wouldn't want to say it's a vulnerability to the JCF, because if a person decides that you're going to break the law, you don't break the law because the JCF system is weak, or you don't break the law because you don't have systems in place to prevent persons. What is important is that where we would accept responsibility if these things are happening and we are not taking action, but we are seeing in all the cases that you have cited, we have actually arrested and charged persons and put them before the courts.
Mr. Shields, who now operates a security consultancy, agrees it's a global phenomenon, noting there are two kinds of people who usually pose as cops.
The first is where there's a psychological issue, where a person just wants to be a cop for whatever reason and dons the uniform and, as you said, directs traffic, and that's one sort. But the more sinister side really is when it's linked to crime, because other examples are where people manage to acquire police uniforms, stop individuals with the intention of robbing or kidnapping them or committing some other crime. So I think they're the more serious issues.
He argues it is time the JCF better modernize two areas. The first is its uniform.
We need to ensure that being able to acquire police uniform becomes more difficult, and that means a smarter design as well, which I think we're in terms of, because we've got these denims, and frankly anyone can pick up denims, stick a little bit of silver on the shoulder and be mistaken for a police officer. So it's really important.
The second and more important is the ID system.
It's time that we upgrade the police ID, the police warrant card, perhaps to a smart card that would equally allow them access to particularly sensitive parts of the building. And certainly the current warrant card looks a bit dated, so certainly we could get something that's far more difficult to forge.
He also suggests the use of biometrics like this fingerprint scanner to restrict access to sensitive locations.
Looking at biometrics and the other things, it's a good suggestion for the future. We are going through a lot of revamp of our processes. We are introducing a lot of new technology based equipment that will make us more efficient and effective as an organization.
In the meantime, the police are urging vigilance.
The same way you would want to scrutinize a utility person who turns up at your home, ask for those things. We want our citizens to be very strong and vigilant. If a police officer refuses to provide information as to their identity, it's an expectation that they have what we call a regulation number that is worn on their uniform. In a visible way, you can make a note of it.
SSP Lindsay says persons should make a report to the nearest police station if they are suspicious of someone posing as a cop, or call 119. Giovanni Dennis, TVJ News.